very much for joining me and having a little bit of a chat around how you can prepare your children for a digital world. Hello everyone, how are you? Thank you for joining me and having a little bit of a discussion on how you can prepare your kids for a digital world. Now, as early as 2015 already, President Obama has said that the internet really is a human right. And it's really fundamental when you think about it, because if you take away internet, you also take so many of our ability to learn these days. And this is especially true for parents and their children during the lockdown. So many parents are grappling now with their kids going back to school, but not sure if they actually do want to send their kids to school. And if anything, COVID has really taught us that the world can change on a dime. So how really can you make your children's future fit if 60% of the jobs of the future are really not known yet? So how can we predict that? How can you then as a parent really help your children to have a future where they're going to be relevant and that they can contribute to society and, like, of course, take care of themselves as well? So there is good news though. We all have internet in the meantime, or at least I hope you do. I am aware that a lot of South Africans do not share that luxury. Unfortunately, a lot of these tips that I'm giving today, I can only talk about online resources, but of course there are other alternatives as well that I'll talk towards the end in terms of opportunities for children as well, for internships and graduate programs. So during this COVID lockdown period, I would really ask you to think a little bit broader. In my job, I look after IT talent for Momentum Metropolitan, and we are faced with the very real reality of a skills shortage, and that IT resources or science, technology, engineering, and math resources are very scarce. If we talk about coders, people who can write computer programming languages, it's really only about 1% of the world. So there is a real push to increase this availability of these people globally. And if we look at forecasts, it's only India that will have an oversupply of these talented individuals by 2025 and beyond. But I'm also saying to you that if you can upskill your child now in science, technology, coding, and robotics, you can basically set up that child for a future where they can work from everywhere and anywhere in the world. They can, like, lose a job the one day and step into a job the next day. And that's really how heavy the demand is for coding and robotics people. And then if you think about the mindset and psychology that children are going through right now, they're seeing that mom and dad can actually pretty much permanently work from home. So why would I want to go and sit in the office indefinitely 5 days a week going into the future? And IT professionals will tell you their hours are well beyond a 8 to 5 job. So I would very much like to share with you free online resources that you can make use of, and other organizations that are available right now for you to partner with or get your child introduced into, so that they can then learn coding and robotics, and also really start to improve themselves and future fit themselves with a skill that is going to be really relevant in the future. So I found a few online resources that I would like to share with you, and I broke them up into elementary school, which is the American like primary school for us South Africans, and middle school for both fall pretty much in our primary schools, and then also for high school children. So if we look at getting your kid really started with coding or like programming and even robotics, the following websites are what I would recommend. So one, there is code.org. So again, that is code, C-O-D-E.org, and it's a free resource that takes you from a complete novice as young as 4 years old all the way up to 14 with curriculum that will then help your child to grow on the same platform all the way up to 14, and it's completely free. There's a lot of videos, there's a lot of instructional kind of tools that they can use, and even their course material is structured so that early readers can comprehend what is needed of them, and it will be at a comprehension level for them to really understand what is asked of them. It is block-based programming, so it's very abstracting an instruction and moving a step at a time, and it will really be a good base to start off with. Massachusetts, MIT, they also have developed a tool named Scratch, which is also free. It is not really a programming language. It's more teaching you how to think in a programmatic way, but it is a tool that is good for kids from the age from 5 to 7 years. So that should get you and your children up and running if you have like young toddlers running around and some young kids that maybe need a little bit of extra focus right now in terms of keeping them busy and not just having them sit in front of the television. But of course, nothing can replace the interaction that you have with your child. You have to remember that the top skills that everybody is looking for right now globally, and that includes the Googles and the Facebooks and the Amazons of the world, and even in their technical resources, is really collaboration and storytelling, and also communication. How good is your verbal skills? So still reading with your child is important, communicating with your child is important, and getting them to communicate back to you. Those basic parental stuff is still very much in place. And then also the basics in terms of reading and the basics in maths is still there. So, but in South Africa, there are also options for you to consider. Africa Teen Geeks is an organization that we've worked with previously at Momentum Metropolitan, and they've really built a STEM digital school that has been running. So for them, they've really done such a great job since we started in March with the lockdown. They are on YouTube, and you can also you can just search them out there under Africa Teen Geeks, and you can see their STEM digital school. You can also go to their website, africateengeeks.co.za, and find them there. And you can also find them on Facebook and Twitter as well. And Lindiwe has really helped there to employ a lot of unemployed teachers that have been impacted by the lockdown, and they have created over 40,000 hours of content, and they have content all the way up to your grade 9 across all from art to grade 9. And they've also built STEM, so your science, technology, engineering, and maths content, as well as a reading circle with a lot of South Africa's celebrities. So please do check that out as a local resource as well. They also offer, under normal circumstances, they have been offering coding classes every Saturday at UNISA. And I really recommend that you check that out in the future to get your kids up and running in coding and robotics. And these children have gone to go internationally for hackathons and compete at Google's and Symantec's in Silicon Valley. So I really recommend that for you. Then around middle school. So in middle school, there are also apps that can really help you. Something that I think kids would really enjoy, perhaps, is Game Blocks. So it's game, B-L-O-X. So there you can really develop games, and 5 basic courses will get you set up and capable to start developing your own online computer game. And I think if a kid needs motivation, I think that's really going to get them excited and interested, because they are going to build their own game. There is also Massachusetts Institute of Technology, or MIT's App Inventor, where you can get your child to think about and start building an Android app. So in the future, you can imagine if you can come up with a concept, that $1 million idea, and then like build an app and get it out there on your app markets, whether it's Apple or Android, you can think about the value that that kid can create in the future for themselves by creating their own additional streams of income. And then at a high school level, there is Code Academy, and Code Academy will then really get you into the pure coding languages. So for those who understand code or the various flavors of programming languages, it will help them from HTML, Ruby, Python, C#, and Java. So, and Code Academy will also help you go all the way up in the levels and really grow there. It also includes Python, on which a lot of data science is based and written in. So, and then again, like to really motivate children as well, there is also Code Wars. Again, it's a free option. All of these options that I've mentioned to you are free. And Code Wars is really where kids will then start to do coding and get assignments and challenges, and they will start to compete against each other. And they will be coding in JavaScript, Python, Ruby, etc. And they will get, like in karate, you'll get kata ranks, and you'll get honor points that will keep your child motivated to keep on learning and keep on growing throughout this whole process. So these are some free online resources, and it's good if you're energetic and go and try them all at once. But I would take a long-term view on this, like really use the pandemic and the lockdown to look at an alternative. So many of us and so many people in our society is very linear in how they think about education. You must do preschool, then you go to your primary school, you go to high school. If you want a good job, you really need to go into university, or if you want to be more trade orientated, you can go into a technicon, and then you must enter the job market. That world is rapidly changing, and even as a talent management professional for tech skills, I can tell you it's a whole new world. And we've seen Google appoint a 12-year-old who is really able to look at big data sets and really understand the insights from that data. Like in Silicon Valley, it's commonplace, not so much here, where you get young children really coding and hacking and like outperforming adults. So the whole, and that's without going to university. It's just allowing children to follow their innate talents and grow on those innate talents, and then really start to develop a skill set that can take them all the way there. And once it clicks for them, it really clicks. So initially as a parent, you might be asked to put them at the grindstone and keep them there and say, let's learn, let's really give you a skill for the future. But after a certain amount of hours, they say 1,000, like hopefully it's less, but like as you make it fun and engaging and you keep the kids for a year to 2 years, and coding and robotics curriculum are coming to schools. I have been very fortunate to join Africa Teen Geeks in their engagement with the Department of Basic Education in building out that coding and robotics curriculum for the Department of Basic Education. But you as a parent can also enable your children with these free resources to do this. But at the same time, if you like get your children to really understand code and really get into a level where they can code, there is such a demand out there for this talent that your child would be leap and bounds ahead of other children that have not had any experience in coding yet. And that's really what I want to share with you. So at Momentum Metropolitan, I've had the fortune as well to really partner with a lot of learning institutions. Yes, there are the universities and the formal learning institutions, and I by no means want to take away from what they do and what they've contributed to us as a society. But there are also a lot of new organizations that you might not have known about as a person that doesn't focus on this in your day-to-day life, and it's not a household name yet. So some of the ones that I would like to share with you, if you do have a child that's finishing up matric, or that has finished up matric and they are looking at an alternative to universities, etc. The first one is We Think Code. So they are based both in Cape Town and also in Braamfontein. And they basically help children to get corporate sponsors to invest in them for 2 years. And from there, they basically go and spend 8 months and learn on their campus, 4 months on site, and then they repeat that with the client, and then they repeat that in their second year, and they get those kids coding very quickly, and they identify people with that learning potential for science and technology. Another organization that I mentioned previously is Africa Teen Geeks. So as I mentioned, Africa Teen Geeks really get kids coding. They have that digital school going during the lockdown and the reading circle. And then they also teach kids to code for the past 4+ years. So I would really focus on making contact with them. Another organization that you can look at is Belgium Campus. So Belgium Campus really impressed me because they are an IT-versity, not a university, an IT-versity. So what they then mean with that is that they help children to get a BTech or a BSc degree, and they also help them to really get stuck in bespoke learning modules that they then develop in cooperation with corporate clients. And again, it's a degree that is sponsored by the clients or corporates, and they develop children, but they really go in depth into technology, and these children really learn how to code, build robotics, build systems from day one. And as a second-year student, there are already success stories of students selling databases and software systems into big organizations for quite some big money as well. So where they also really stand out is, on average, South Africa has a 26% university pass rate. So that is really a heartbreaking number if you think about children coming through our schooling system, going into university, and then not making it past year 1 at university. So where Belgium Campus really steps up is they have a mass literacy course, and they put the children or the youngsters through that. and they also host a lot of these students on their campus, and they then grow them from there. And their placement rates, if you look at it, is well above 85% into the job market, and then also the graduation rates are above that as well. So that's a really good news story. And if you can also pay for your child's studies at Belgian campus as an individual or as a parent. So if you are looking at getting your child to go and study a BSc or a BTech, they might be an alternative to universities that are more known. And then another story that is really good is Life Choices Campus as well. If anybody from Cape Town is viewing, this is Pretoria News, so I don't know really how many, but they also help children to get into coding in the Cape region, and then also give them a lot of personal coaching and psychological support throughout that process. So those are now some tips and free resources that can get your kid into a career path that will set them up for the future and hopefully give them a career that will grow well into the future and be future proof. So tips for parents that I would really want to leave you with is really partner with your child and look if this is a career path that they would want to follow. Do keep in mind it's a long commitment, but at the same time, all companies are going to be tech companies in the future. So having this skill is going to really make you relevant for the long time. Let your children drive. Let your children sit behind the PC and do the work and ask you for help from the side when they need to. Don't take the reins. Don't take the laptop from them. That's a key tip that I would give. If you can, get a device per child. If you can, even if it's an old laptop or even if it's a tablet, like do try and give them their own. I know that's not a problem that many people have, but some people do. And then I think it's also try and explore as many of these tools as possible. Another one that I do want to mention to you as well is Tinkercad. So it's part of Autodesk. So Autodesk does computer-aided design. So that's all the software that engineers use to draw things like machinery, to draw cars, to draw engine parts, to draw like industrial sketches, etc. But they've created a free tool that is called Tinkercad. So it's Tinker, C-A-D. And they say, join Tinkercad, it's completely free. And it's a way for you to allow your children to try their hand at designing things in 3D printing. So they say, because flat is boring, I think that's true. So like getting your children to design their own Lego blocks or their own dinosaur toy or their own little puzzle as a 3D puzzle that they print in their own 3D printer, it might seem like something that's really cool and fun, but what's the value of that? The world, like I said in the beginning, is really going to shift, and 60% of jobs are unknown. So if you think of big aeronautics companies, or if you think of Lockheed Martin, who provides all the engines for airplanes, or if you think of the automotive industry where they're shipping parts between countries, that is not going to be a reality well into the future. There are going to be 3D printing stations where you can print in metal, and the licensing of the designs and the 3D sketches is really what's going to be driving that kind of focus. So what I would then really suggest for you is like to also check out Tinkercad if you are considering getting a 3D printer, or if you're already lucky enough to have your own. So I really hope that that gives you some insight and some tools to look at the future and ways that you can really use this epidemic to upskill your children and to think broader than our current schooling system. We have to acknowledge that the schooling system is strained, and there is coding and robotics coming. Like I said, there's some really exciting stuff coming from the Department of Basic Education, and for the intent from the people was really to build a world-class curriculum. And I hope that in the meantime, you as a parent will also play your part in giving your children some additional skills that are going to help them, and really value the gift that the internet has given us just beyond watching Netflix or Showmax. So with that, I'll leave you and thank you very much for joining this chat. And I hope that that was valuable for you. Thank you very much. Bye.